Alright, so in this video, I am getting closer and closer to this abuse pertaining to MK Ultra. About, in this case, I'll be talking to you about the psychiatric medications. It's this gentleman who posted decent stuff here on the internet about what exactly the worst psychiatric medications are. And I'm going to take this separately like this. And here you have the list of psychiatric medications. The psychiatric medications which were used on me beginning the 2012, when they labeled me as the most severely mentally ill individual, were as following. That was Abilify. This is this one right here. So this is just something I had to do. I was going to postpone this stuff, but I'm not going to postpone it. This is one. Risperdal was the second psychiatric medications they gave me. So the number 6 are the worst medications. Those are the worst medications that you see right there. Beginning with a 6 is the worst. They gave me threw me on Zyprexa and I think this is olanzapine is right here, clozapine. I think it's the same thing. I think that this is equivalent. They were selecting basically what, as this man here would refer to basically as the worst, as the deadliest stuff of them all. But the interesting part, or why I am actually video recording this stuff, is something completely different I will be talking to you about today in this video. It's something much worse that took place. Yeah, I'm going to add also this one right here like this. Oh, olanzapine is not there. Clonazepam, Zyprexa, they gave me Abilify, and they gave me Risperdal, and these are basically 4 drugs of the worst drugs that this man here is discussing. Might have been a psychiatrist. I have no idea who this man is. I didn't go over this yet. Whether he was involved or not, I don't know. It's worse stuff I will be talking to you about. It's also well, you probably wouldn't like any of the stuff like that, right? Well, the truth, do you know what the truth is? This is why we are recording this thing here. Do you know what the truth is? The truth is that all these psychiatric medications were given to me. Every fucking one of these psychiatric medications was given to me. I think that psychiatry is more than a scam. I think that psychiatry is a murder tool. I think it's a murder tool. I think the psychiatry is assassination tool. It's a tool to assassinate people. Every fucking one of these psychiatric pills here that you see was administered to me beginning the year 2000. Slovenian communist, a famous Slovenian communist, Milan Kučan is his name. Beginning the year 1999, every one of those psychiatric pills was administered to me. Every one of them was given to me. This was Slovenes elected as the first Slovenian president. This here, and this was a communist party leader in the so-called Yugoslavia. When it comes to Slovenia, this was a communist leader of the Slovenia during the times of the Yugoslavia. This man right here that you see, he was very close to Vladimir Putin. He was a mentor to Borut Pahor. He was a mentor to Tanja Fajon. She's a minister now of external affairs. This is the lady with whom Prince Charles, let's say, made business with. This is a lady with whom Germans like Ursula von der Leyen especially was signing agreements in respect to assassination that needed to be completed in my case. This is a lady that is now a stark reminder, Slovenian stark reminder of what needed to be done to get me killed. This is basically the lady that Slovenes have used to enforce my death since their Slovenian independence in 1991. This thing here, yeah. And this pretty much was the guy that you would never see next to Putin. This pretty much is the guy that is Vladimir Putin in Slovenia, this guy. You would not see this garbage, not even next to Milan Kučan. Milan Kučan practically was his father. This is what was gathering inside of our house, together with the British royals. This is a very, they grew very close to one another. They close very close, their hearts entangled with one another, grew feelings for one another. This was the circle that I was in. It was just times like this. It's a bit insane, because Slovenia is not even anywhere close to the Russia. Slovenia is not even close to the Serbia. Even that this used to be a part of Yugoslavia, this place is not even close to Serbia. If you want to travel to the nearest location to the Serbia, then you don't have to take, it's going to take you about 380 kilometers. That is 4 hours and 22 minutes before you can get there from place where I live. And I'm pretty much not too far from the border. If we go to the border, about 400 kilometers, 330 kilometers you still have before you get to Serbia. 3 hours and 50 minutes. Probably in the States you would say that's nothing, that's nothing. That's a lot. That's actually a very, very decent distance. Very decent distance. Serbia is further away from Slovenia than what Germany is from Slovenia. We are closer to even to the Germany, although we have border with Austria. Genetically, totally non-related people. No relation whatsoever, genetically, to the Serbs. When it comes to the natives, old settlers, no connection to the Serbs. Zero connection to the Serbs. This here would be the closest to the Russia. Oh, look, it's not 2,000 kilometers. It's actually 1,700 kilometers. And so, his name is Borut Pahor. Is a great friend of Vučić, Aleksandar Vučić, of this Serbian Chetniks. He didn't want to be seen with Milosevic, but Aleksandar Vučić was and is none other than Milosevic, and these are two brothers. These are two brothers. This animal was coming in our house with other animals, Serbian animals, simply hijacked, barricaded by the Slovenian police house. Is this like normal to you? I mean, let's say that you are somewhere inside of the European Union and you listen shit like this. Let's say that you're inside of the Britain. What do you feel when you watch a program like this? What exactly do you feel about this shit? What exactly, how the fuck that makes you feel if you're in the United States of America, or you are in Britain, let's say, or you're in Germany, and you hear somebody from Slovenia talking about how Slovenia has a Russian flag, you know, already that's already too much. But how do you feel when you hear shit like this, that there's just some pro-Serbian police, pro-Russian police barricaded itself in a home of some individual, and you have your royals from London visiting his barricaded house? How the fuck that makes you feel? Or you in Germany, let's say that you had German politicians visiting the house of somebody that police barricaded himself into somewhere in Slovenia, in his home of his parents, house of his parents. Basically hijacked his home and used his home for a torture, for poisoning, for spine breaking, teeth breaking, destruction, basically cancerizing individual. How the hell that makes you feel? How safe is the European Union? Because I was not only inside of the Slovenia, I was delivered throughout the entire European Union, and as an American citizen beginning the 2000, I was not even safe from this. Once I became American citizen in 2000, never mind my residency, American residency, which I obtained in 1995. I filed for residency in 1995 in the United States of America. Central Intelligence Agency, Federal Bureau of Investigation, on making sure that I would gone missing ongoingly. How the hell this shit makes you feel when you watch a program like this? You watch the president, you watch your presidents, and you go to the social media and you interact with the people, and the people are just, would you like Obama to come back? Would you like Clinton to come back? Who do you think was better, President Donald Trump or Joe Biden, and etc., disturbing, etc. stuff? How the hell that makes you feel? Because I like to understand your freedom issues, because you protest for so many, you know, you want guns are your big concerns. All kinds of civil rights. You know, you can't breathe. George Floyd. It's all kinds of civil rights that is twisting in your heads. But how the hell does this makes you feel? That you understand that something like this was happening, that you understand that this shit goes on for no less than 54 years, with mainstream media see nothing, hear nothing, know nothing, asking stupid questions to the suspects of this thing, which they were not in mode because the crime was so overwhelming, so bad, to even try to mediate, to even try to do anything about it, which I think was just an excuse, because I think that they're in bed like this with the people from here, with the people from Serbia and people from Russia. Embarrassing stuff for your British royals, your presidents. How the hell do you feel about this stuff? In 1999, if not even in 1998, psychiatrist Tatjana Prokšelj, psychiatrist Peter Kapš, a whole bunch of these people, and I don't know how much she was already a psychiatrist in 1998. This is something I already discussed for the Tatjana Prokšelj who was involved in this stuff. I don't want to get into it, but together with the psychiatric hospital Ljubljana Polje, they started to literally practice use of the psychiatric medications on me. They started to actively, together, on behalf of Borut Pahor, on behalf of Robert Golob, on behalf of Milan Kučan, on behalf of politicians that belong to ex-Communist Party openly, Yugoslav Communist Party, they openly started to practice on me all kinds of psychiatric medications during MK Ultra procedures. That's basically way before I was even labeled as a mental patient in 2012. Going through all kinds of psychiatric medications, put them on a trial, forced me. Zoran Mudra was one of the biggest participants in this program. He was a senior psychiatrist from Psychiatric Ljubljana Polje who actively was coming inside of our house and was administering younger trainees such as Tatjana Prokšelj, personally knows him. How the hell is it that you go and you use MK Ultra procedure with something that you knew beginning in 2000? I had beginning the 98, 99, it was proven that I have a very serious problem with a heart. One of the problems that I was experiencing that indicated that I had a heart problems beginning 2005 was a swollen leg, which would swell 2005, maybe even 2003. The leg, it would be always a left leg, just as still is, that would swell, but only during MK Ultra, something that I never would experience in real time when I was not subjected to MK Ultra. They were claiming me that left leg foot was bigger than the right foot. They were claiming me that certain shoes were just simply not okay, shoes that they would be using during MK Ultra. They were claiming me that this is the stuff that is used to drive you insane, to the degree, let's say, that you would even accuse your parents. I did, my mom, because she was playing with the shoelaces. Yeah, she was doing this shit. She was playing on top of it. That she is ongoingly tying you shoes, and even that they came up with a theory lying to me that it will be too late that I will realize that parents tied the shoes to me. So basically, we're talking about the stuff that you would only experience during MK Ultra, which is as a police officer gives you the opportunity to lie to you, the targeted individual, that it's parents that are doing this stuff to him in such a way as swelling comes, And of course, you don't know where the fuck is it coming from. And you recall the theories, the lies they brainwash you with, telling you that before you will realize you'll already be too late and shit, which is like, it happens. You walk and all of a sudden you pull this out and you see that you have a problem with it. And you actually believe that you have a problem like this because somebody was doing to you this stuff and you just didn't realize on time. And now, you know, the feet became inflamed. Rather than concern yourself with a completely different issue that pertains really to your health, you start to see all kinds of conspiracy lies they brain massage you with. And you're talking about the police psychiatrist here. Psychiatrist Peter Kapsch, neighbor Metod Yerman, he's just one house away from me. He was involved in absolutely every session. Higher investigator Metod Yerman, investigators from Novo Mesto police station, and a whole bunch of criminals from Novo Mesto police station. Neighbors, they all know it's a circle of criminals, cloud basically, that gathers around you. You won't see through no more. Everywhere you turn around, you see yourself basically practically, if you allow this shit, which I did not. This is another my mistake. Because I realized that once I'm going to start to see myself in MKH, I'm going to have a real problem. And needed to postpone one till actually you set the memories in such an order sequence. They also used to call me landslide. Landslide simply because once you start talking about the MK Ultra and you start to lay down proofs, everything goes right in front of you basically. It's just falling apart. Once you start to create this sequence, this order of these proofs inside of your head before you come out, you have to do it. If you don't do it, they destroy you. You come out and say, oh, I got my MK Ultra, and you don't have proofs, you don't have stuff, they kill you. They kill you. They really shouldn't. It used to be like this, that they didn't, that they, in a parenthesis, this is what they lied in Canada, that they actually even assisted the girls and stuff like this that was subject of MK Ultra once they started to complain. But in the real world, that's not the way it is. If you don't have really set your mind practically to talk about exactly about the stuff that went on, they kill you. They are out there to kill you. They're not out there as they tell you. They all the time told me that you have to talk about MK Ultra, prove it, and this and that. They don't look for your proofs. They don't want to know about it. Once you start talking about it, they want to kill you. They don't have any intentions to save anybody here. This is the way they do the stuff. That's old trickery, which is completely in line with Joseph Stalin is Soviet, or Vladimir Putin of today. That's stupid. I don't want to talk about the communism because this is completely related to other issues. It's got totally other issues to deal with. We're dealing with the totally other issues. So, they started to test this psychiatric medication sometimes in 1999, even in 1998, and I know so because Borut Pahor especially was completely insane, enthusiastic about it. 98 for sure. Robert Golob, they were completely insane, taken over. Repeating inside of our kitchen to the police, to all kinds of people. Good, good, good. We need to accelerate. We need to accelerate this. It was obsession. Slovenes selected this communist, Milan Kučan, the chief of the KGB, basically in Yugoslavia. Serbian chief here. The Serbian Gauleiter. Yeah, they used to talk about the German Gauleiters and this. Now you're talking about the Serb, the Serbian Gauleiter born here in Slovenia, Kučan, Milan Kučan, in charge for the Serbian KGB, for the Russians, kill people here in Slovenia. Slovenes select him. Janez Janša, the so-called opposition, Peterle, Baučar, they elect him. as the first Slovenian president. He apparently even crowns himself as a Slovenian president by literally getting an individual who was his competition sniped. Ivan Kramberger was killed during the so-called first Slovenian presidential elections. And it's going around so that the person who did this was none other than Milan Kučan. Based on MK Ultra brainwash, Ivan Kramberger never ever was sniped. Based on the brainwash, at least, the stuff that they did with me. But based on his family, based on claims, based on all involved in MK Ultra, entire Kramberger family was involved in this. Milan Kučan got him sniped, basically. Police was again involved in this stuff. Igor Baucher was directly involved in this case. Igor Baucher, equivalent to Janez Janša, to Louis Peterle, whom Germans defended so greatly. They would be coming inside of the Slovenia and embarrass me in front of these animals, claiming me that they are good, they're very good, they are good, yeah, very legitimate people, Janša, good. Was a police officer in Yugoslavia who was on occasion during the murder of this Ivan Kramberger even involved. Slovenes elect him, therefore, a chief of the Yugoslav UDBA KGB, Milan Kučan, as the first Slovenian president, desperate to get me killed. Now, the Milan Kučan gets 2 terms, 2 presidential terms, and ends sometimes his presidency in 2001 or 2002. I don't even know. Basically giving everything out of himself to get me killed. And there is this big factor missing that they want to use to accelerate the murder as fast as possible. And it's again British royals and American Central Intelligence Agency that comes to the rescue. Literally beginning 1996, they bring inside of our house American, British, Western, all kinds of psychiatric pills. A new program they opened. They opened the program of the psychiatric pills, which however have a devastating effect on my cardiovascular health. So now I'm not only being sleep deprived during MK Ultra bestialities performed on me, but it is already the psychiatric medications they have been using heavily on me during this trauma-based, sleep deprivation-based cardiovascular burnout procedures, killing practically. Directly hijacked from the country where I seek the refuge where I even became American citizen in 2000, United States of America, making my claims therefore thereto even more incredible, impossible to believe, even more difficult to make. After all, that is located across the Atlantic Ocean, and Slovenia becomes independent from the greater Serbian ethnic state known as Yugoslavia. It becomes actually known as the ethnic Slovenian state, thus making my claims against the Serbs even more difficult. So I find myself in this situation beginning in 1998 on a regular basis, pushed to swallow, to heavily eat psychiatric medications. Might have been even 1996, I don't know. I know that Robert Golob announced that in 1996 the use of the psychiatric pills, psychiatric medications will commence. And so what happened with these psychiatric medications is, I'm not going to show you this again. These are just few. The question here, however, remains on just how many of this and how many of other psychiatric medications which existed back then and no longer exist were also used on me. These are psychiatric medications that you would use in the western part of the world, but back then we also had psychiatric medications that applied to the Soviet Union. I should say Yugoslavia, Eastern Europe, you know exactly what I mean. You're watching Auser Times. My name is Boštjan Ausec, and I welcome you to this program. It was like this, that sometimes in 2004, psychiatrists from Ljubljana Polje, that is Zoran Muđa, and local psychiatrists here, Tatjana Prokšelj, both Serbs, came to a very positive resolution on the effects that deadly effects that these psychiatric medications had on me. Were extremely pleased with it, and they promised me with Pahor, with Robert Golob, with the psychiatrist Kopš, that is just a matter of technicalities, basically, to get me killed. And the one who was implicated in this, of course, was Vladimir Putin, Aleksandar Vučić, Serbs, Russians that traveled here to meet on a regular basis with the British, with Americans, who they did give a lot of fuck about me. I was gonna say they didn't give a fuck. They did, man. They did. They did all they could to get me killed. Americans did all they possibly could to get me killed. They were the one who were bringing me in here. They were the one who were bringing me to the Russians, to the Serbs, so they could do this stuff. They did give a shit. They did give a shit. They gave everything they had, basically, to get me killed. Absolutely everything. With the British and with the Germans, they did with my allies. With my NATO, European Union, and American allies. They did absolutely everything they possibly could to get me killed. They did give a shit. They came to conclusion that it's just a matter of technicalities, that I'm basically a dead man already. This is what I was told already in 2000. But with the psychiatric pills, they said all we gotta do now is basically finish the whole procedure. That was year 2004. Psychiatry. And for that matter, the British Royals wanted me here in Slovenia. And I did spoke about on other videos, British royals, Prince Charles, Prince Andrew, Queen Elizabeth, Prince William, Prince Harry, entire British Royal Society demanded me here permanently in Slovenia. And that's basically how they resettled me through total forced unemployment back to Slovenia, where I returned as an American citizen on August of 2006. And you already know about all the rest, how they, as I came to the local employment agency to look for a work, how they told me that I don't even have the right to be a local search job at the state employment agency, with the police cars parked outside of this office here in the Novo Mesto state employment office. Got a guy that comes in my face to tell me that, to reminds me of MK Ultra brainwash on how I am nobody and nothing, and I don't have anything, and I did not produce anything in life, basically spitting all over me, with Americans already doing in America stuff that forced me to search for the job without even getting paid, traveling all the way to the center of the Florida, all the way, driving myself all the way to, I think it was Jacksonville from Miami, and all the way, traveling all the way to the Texas, to, what is it, Aaron Stevens Transport, doing shit, destroying my education completely, turning me into security officer, receptionist, and when it comes to truck driving, which was the last resource I would use to collect some money and get the fuck out of that American shithole, doing all they possibly can to push me over the edge so that I would get in some kind of altercation with the people, with the owners of this freight companies, I should say managers, doing stuff that was bizarrely insane, and you didn't have to pay the bills and shit. You don't know, how the hell you gonna come by the next day? How are you gonna pay for all this crap? If you understand me what I'm saying. So with this burden, this is how I returned back from the United States of America, where I collect, I don't know, maybe $40,000 in life savings through minimum wage, insane circumstances, somehow something that I'm gonna start here in Slovenia, and here they jump on me from all the directions with the same shit. No job, no this, no that, and some kind of crazy stuff. Driving myself across Slovenia searching for the job, actually ended up even all the way on the border with Austria, stopping over there in Austria at one point in time on some parking spot, and talking to myself, drinking some, I don't know what it was, just trying the fuck to cool myself down. Insane shit, basically, throwing money basically away, with nothing basically to live for, nothing to look forward to. This is insane shit, the stuff that went on. And all I had to do now is basically wait a little longer so that I could be thrown inside of the psychiatric hospital in Slovenia, which they already started to heavily present to me, British. The Queen Elizabeth had such a great time laughing in my face, talking to him about even about the stuff that went on here in Slovenia, that is just a matter of time. These are the circumstances, basically. And to look forward to, of course, psychiatric pills, as I was explained, by the psychiatrists alone before they threw me into the psychiatric hospital finally in 2012, as I ran out of all the money, and after I filed the political asylum even in Canada and in Sweden, in Norway. In Sweden, I didn't even dare to file for political asylum because Swedish government threatened so much with the psychiatric hospitalization already in Sweden. In America, they threatened with a psychiatric hospitalization. I got a job one time in Miami downtown as a security surveillance operator inside of the state hospital, where they insisted they're going to get me inside. They contemplated already on a psychiatric hospitalization in Miami, in the United States of America, brought me to the psychiatric hospital, and in California and in other states, in New York. New York was big with the psychiatric hospitals, hospitalizations even, torture inside of the psychiatric hospitals, and so on. So I had nothing to look forward to in my life, and I wasn't worried about the psychiatric hospital. I was more worried about this. I wanted the job, and I had to find a way, basically, to scare these people enough so that I could get myself a job so they would leave me alone. And that's how I filed the first reports to the United Nations in 2006 about the human rights violations I endured in the US and in the Slovenia. Instead, what I get is assassination attempt, being called as a traitor, and basically assassination attempt takes place. They continue to test these psychiatric pills on me. They continue to evaluate them. And finally, in 2012, is just as Robert Golob personally stated, they spoke to me, talking about Zoran Muja here, talking about the psychiatrist, the local psychiatrist Peter Kapsch, just like the man that you see right there, just like this physician. They spoke to me about which psychiatric pills are the baddest that I tested for them like the worst results. They have the whole palette of these psychiatric pills, and they tested them, and out of those tests, they were literally using me to test them, which was the worst psychiatric pills, the worst side effects that I would expect that they would have effect on me based on what exactly they would affect in my body the most. And then Robert Golob was talking to me, I chose this kind of pill, I chose that kind of pill, I chose that kind of pill. My goodness, was thrown into the psychiatric hospital loaded with the pills that were pills supposedly the worst for the heart, that are like, they just give you a fucking heart attack. Later on changed to another pills. Loaded with these psychiatric pills. I did wrote about that stuff already. Beyond the closed doors in a closed department, and told by the psychiatrist from the closed department that during MK Ultra, everything during MK Ultra, when I was talking to these people, to the psychiatrists, I was talking to them, I can't move the jaw, the saliva is running out. Why is your saliva running out of your mouth? You see, the saliva is running out of your mouth. That's insanity. That's because you're mentally ill. Their definition of my not having the ability to move jaws, suffering a pain, was a definition for them they refer to as a mental illness. These are the psychiatrists, Serbs, they even have, but the Slovenes probably were the biggest animals. I'm sure they were the biggest animals of them all, because this so-called Slovenes, as I call them, Podalpski Serbi, they didn't give a fuck about a Slovenian. Slovene? Yeah, you don't give a fuck about the Slovenian as a Slovene, and you see a political murder in front of your eyes. You are Slovene. I'm not. You are, but I'm not. I am not. I don't have the power to separate you, nor eagerness, willingness to advocate the nation so filthy as this, to see myself in it. I don't. It's none of my business. My job is to expose who swines you are, what exactly you are, what exactly happened in this case. Luckily for you that you have people like Biden, Trump, Obama. This was mostly done under George W. Bush, who found the right guy to get this job done. That's Barack Obama. Bill Clinton. You found the right mixture in London to get your stuff done, because in any other country this would not go down so easily. Stuff like this, when it comes to political murders like that. I don't actually have anything else to say in respect to this video. This is a video that clearly is exposing in my case, a psychiatry as a tool in the hands of elites, as a tool. Now I'm talking about MK Ultra, which gave these animals the ability to actually evaluate the damage that would be fortified through the psychiatric pills once I would be thrown into the psychiatric hospital, basically based on a prior evaluation. So, ladies and gentlemen, the psychiatrists, as you call yourself, physicians, doctors, as you refer to yourself, you have missed an extremely important factor here when it comes to MK Ultra. when you were coming in this house and you were wondering what's going on with you, as a physicians, as a doctors, you did, so many of you. And you were so concerned for my health, but you were not interested in taking the sides of, as this gentleman started to break down. Let me just see who this guy is. Oh, this stuff was involved. This was one of the last videos I would get from Dr. Berg, who's one of the physicians that was coming here. I'm gonna do this. These people were involved directly since 2013, which is insane because...
So what are the signs and symptoms of heart...
Yeah, 2013, it's crazy, right? The numbers I'm talking about, the stuff that went on, they figure out that I'm suffering from a heart failure in as early as in 1998 because of what was done on me during MK Ultra with a Prince Charles, now your British King Charles, who demanded for entire procedure to slow down sometimes in 2000 because it's going to become too damn fucking obvious. Yes, if you do this too early and the person is, well, in year 2000, ladies and gentlemen, I was just 28 years old, and as a 28 years old I have a super powerful science about the heart failure popping up. Which person, athlete at age 28, my God, is fucking suffering from a fucking heart failure? How normal is this in a world of sports? How normal is this with people that would suffer a heart failure as a perfectly healthy 18 years old, heart failure 10 years later at age 28? How many this happens to? You explain to me about this shit. And so what he wanted to do is he wanted to delay this. What he wanted to do is he wanted to diversify this. He wanted to purchase the time. So he said, slow down with that trauma, torture, and all that stuff, because we need him to live a little longer. What he reached for is what is known as a statistics. That's basically age statistics. You know, at a certain age, a certain group, certain percentage of people have certain diseases, right? So that's what your British King Charles, that's what your British royals wanted to do. They got afraid because the injury like this is just clearly MK Ultra injury, which exposes basically active murdering, killing, assassinating individual through the torture, through the bestiality performed. Even if it's not audio and video exposed, it is highly unusual when the person is suffering a high heart failure at age 28. These people became involved finally in 2013, which didn't make any fucking sense to me when they started to blah 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 talk about this shit, other than what it clearly became evident to me, they were used to camouflage what I just stated earlier. They released this shit video finally in 2017, had me watch this video. They were really nice people, and all I want to say to you is thank you very much for seeing nothing, hear nothing, and know nothing, and of course to let me know, basically to remind me of my problems that I already heavily suffered at the beginning of 2013. Thank you. It was very, very helpful. It was great to have you here in Novo Mesto, where, just as I explained, I was exiled from United States of America alone as American citizen on 2 occasions due to totally insane, impossible circumstances concerning employment, job market. I just need to see this individual. This is a psychiatrist. This individual There was pharmacists, there was psychiatrists. Let me just see this thing.
I've been a psychiatrist for the past decade, and I've helped multiple people come off antidepressant medications.
This individual was involved in MK Ultra. This was a nice individual. This was a nice man. I didn't know who the fuck it was because, facially wise, this even reminds of the Israeli. However, it appears that was of Italian heritage or something like this. I don't know. And just happened so was a nice individual. I don't know what to tell you. That's actually some kind of German name, Witt Düring.
And one of the most...
This individual was just as, let's say, this man right here, this guy, not this guy, but this was yet another individual that was involved in it. What we're gonna do is... No, I cannot do that. This here is, his name is Jonathan Benyon, just as involved as this physician also was involved. This one was involved, as I stated. He's a psychiatrist. This physician here, who did this is a University of California, was very much somewhat looked like this young man here. He was also a very nice guy. Is actually this place here, California, they were quite blonde here in this place in California, which was quite surprising to me, a bit strange, but anyhow. This man here, with this video here, already entry, so that I would memorize. I probably was one of the best people next to Dr. Berg. I don't know where the Dr. Berg is now, but this was one of the nicest people that was involved in MK Ultra, this young man. He became involved when he was in a grammar school and sure did not know shit what he was talking about yet. Or maybe he knew more than I did. Who the hell knows? I remember his parents, family, supposedly he's from Utah. And to me, it always made an impression that he's from the East Coast. But no, apparently that he's from Utah.
It's totally normal to just have 7...
And his specialty was to remind me, he does what I highly recommend you in this video. He demonstrates people a bit about issues that I don't want to show you that kind of a graphic stuff. It is already, well, I can avoid that stuff now. This is not really rated for age or something that I would know.
Actually die.
I am going to rate my video for the age. I'm going to limit it to a certain audience, like after 18 or whatever.
Due to the lack of nutrients. But because the cancer cells tend to hog all the nutrients, this is one of the mechanisms of how chemotherapy works. These are drugs that essentially target fast-dividing, metabolically active cells. And so the idea is that the cancer cells will take up more of the drugs, leading to their death. So they compete with the healthy cells for nutrients. And they often win. So as a result, normally little hogs of the party. They are extremely metabolically active as they are constantly dividing. So they compete with the health.
I don't know what's up with this kid. He appeared here already. He was a teenager, really. Must have been in the 4th or 6th grade of the grammar school, I swear to you. And he started to teach me about this issue here.
Healthy cells for nutrients. And
the cancer cells fight with the healthy cells for the nutrients.
Often win. So as a result, normal cells can gradually die due to the lack of nutrients. But because
this is how he started to build his case, basically involvement, I should say. Well, yes, his case, in my case, to remind me of his visits. Obviously, the stuff, I don't know how much he wanted to remind me of his visits, but he was just, this is just a really, really sweet guy, this guy. Whatever he does, I'm gonna say, I highly recommend him. He was extremely sweet. I dedicated him also a comment here that I usually don't do, but this guy was just so sweet that I cannot even say a single bad word about this kid. I mean, I cannot say one single word about him. There is nothing bad I possibly could say about him. He was coming here. He was just reminding me, talking about the cancer. Yeah, when he was still in the high school. And then this guy, this psychiatrist here, this I already told you, these are surprisingly white people in this California, University of California. They were like, I was expected more, I don't know, different variety that were involved in this stuff here. And it was also this guy here that would keep coming here. I believe that he was coming here sometime since 2010, maybe even in 2009, to check on me, to see what's going on. There is another one. There is another. I cannot find. I found it quite interesting. This was a very nice guy. This guy. Except that this stuff, based on MK Ultra already, they couldn't find anything that would really apply to me. He was still concerned, and his video presentation that Google Statistics presents to me like this, right on the side they do to remind me. This Google algorithm brings me the videos of the people that they would even use them. Of course, the same way like you meet people based on MK Ultra scenario on the street is exactly the videos that this YouTuber, all kinds of professionals, people that were involved in the case, would present themselves through the Google, through the YouTube, and remind of certain issues they spoke about during MK Ultra. Here is Dr. Burke. Yeah, this is just very nice individual. I don't know what to say. I am just really angry that these physicians did not step together and do something about this stuff. That's all there is to it. But would I recommend this guy, this guy here? Well, yeah, this is a very sweet guy. This Dr. Eric Berg is also a very sweet guy. I mean, what can I say about this stuff? This guy here, this guy never bent, not even one hair on my head or anything. This guy was just powered by the pure generosity. This guy was just powered by the pure. During his visits, all that he wanted is something good for me, whatever it would be. This man right here. That's all there is. I don't have anything else I would say about this man. And for sure, I'm pretty sure I never will recall anything bad about him. Which oftentimes happens. But this man here, this is just This guy never ever was extremely gentle guy. Extremely gentle guy, this guy. Extremely normal. Good person. Well, let's just finish this video the way I supposed to finish. Is this a murder? Yeah. Can you classify this as a psychiatrist, as a professional, as a medical professional, as a police investigator, as anyone that is whatever human rights investigator, activist, or whatever, journalist, whatever? Could you possibly classify this into a category other than a murder? I don't think so. I don't think that there is a trace of a doubt about what exactly happened here. What I am disturbed the most is that the British royals have taken the most malicious, the most disgusting, backstabbing possible route to end this case. It surely was not about, it always was about, they complain about that it's everything was wrong with me. You did this, and it's impossible to save you now. Now it's even more impossible. And all along it was a torture that went on, and all along it was also something else, as I expose here, that went on. Beginning 1996, Robert Golob introduced the use of the psychiatric pills, in my case, evaluation of the psychiatric pills, for which Robert Golob was certain even they would get me inside of the psychiatric hospital in as early as in 96 and in 97. I know there was a heavy use of the psychiatric pills in 98, in 99, in 2000, 2001, 2002, and we're already talking about precisely, they were really happy, excited. No, actually, shit. In 98, they already talked about certain psychiatric pills that they have effect on me. So this shit must have been even earlier. 96, for sure, they started to use this stuff. All kinds of psychiatric pills to evaluate them, so that once they would get me inside of the psychiatric hospital, those psychiatric pills would be used to finish the job. What disturbs me the most is that in 2004 and in 2003, it was Americans in Miami, white Americans, Central Intelligence Agency, Federal Bureau Investigation, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, people who claimed me, you're not up to any good in America. You're not doing any good, and you eat food, you eat shit. You eat shit, we don't need you like this in America. You better go home, back to Slovenia. And they video recorded themselves in that apartment on Miami Beach at 353, apartment 6G, is from what I recall was. My apartment was a 6G, Miami Beach, 353 West, 47th Street was the address. And
as the cancer cells tend to hog all the nutrients, this is one of the mechanisms of how...
Very, very warmly, I recommend you this man, this video. That's his name. He doesn't even want to be... I am not gonna... I don't like to push into the people if they don't want. If you like to contact me, whatever, befriend me even on a Facebook. I didn't want to befriend him because he was such a reserved individual, and I just didn't want... Because it was just so nice to me, I would not even want to, not even wink him, whatever, touch him in any way, not even on a Facebook. If you see this video, you're welcome to send me a friend request, befriend me, whatever, that's fine, but I am not going to go into him. He was just too nice of a person, and... In 2004, they made themselves inside of this apartment in 47th Street, in 353 West 47th Street, apartment 6G. They made themselves big, they made themselves large. They gave me a whole speech. You're not doing anything good, you eat shit, you this, you don't eat good food, and this and that. Now, we don't want you here in America, you're not up to any good, it's going to be... They cried to me about this in 98, in 99, in 2000, in 2001, 2002. Really? Really, that was your main concern, therefore. That was your main concern. Is that so? And in 2004, we don't want you... You need to go back. We need you back to Slovenia. We need you back to Slovenia and this and that. So, even if this will be my last video, and it's not my last video, this well summarizes the intentions of Central Intelligence Agency, of Federal Bureau Investigation, American police that was involved in this. It summarizes basically the way they did this stuff, the way they designed this stuff, and how far they have gone to make sure that I would perish. Why they actually threw me through the forced unemployment. Why they were just basically extending every time more and more with this unemployment. Why they extorted like this, and what they hoped for upon my return to Slovenia. What exactly they were looking forward to. Yeah. They were certain that is just going to be a matter of time before they even threw me into psychiatric hospital Ljubljana Polje in 2012, that I would be dead once they would get me behind the doors of the psychiatric hospital Ljubljana Polje, where they did also institutionalize me during MK Ultra procedure. They would keep me inside of the psychiatric hospital, Ljubljana Polje, where I was delivered to this department for where they accept. They would have me for weeks inside in there during MK Ultra procedure. They would just lock me. I would just simply disappear. So it wasn't only about this is the important part. It wasn't only about administer to me this stuff when they had me inside of the psychiatric hospital Ljubljana Polje, where Borut, Pahor, Milan, Kučan would make this happen. They did this shit. They did this kind of stuff during MK Ultra procedure itself, beginning the 1996, knew exactly what medication is going to impact which psychiatric medication is going to have the biggest impact on whatever. So this is not the good. This is just not the good stuff. No? You can't say that this is for the mental illness, and whether it was for the assassinations or whether it was not for assassination. What we're talking about is the world where this is taking place, the circumstances, public circumstances, the audience, wide global audience can see these things, witness to basically, understands, because it's in English language, and we need to talk about the people accept these things about, in today's world, basically killing of the people. How do they pursue, how people view this in Britain, in Germany, in America? You probably don't give a fuck, right? Because you're over there, so it must not be possible something like this could happen to you. Well, take a wild guess. Sweden, Norway, all you that you were involved in, France and Italy and Spain and all this, all good. It's all good to you. That's all normal to you. You set a totally new standards. For the world. This type of standards the world have not known yet for this type of stuff. 96, because in 1996 the British, I have to repeat this, British and Americans and Germans, they started to cooperate with this psychiatric program. But before the 1996, I did not finish this properly. The psychiatric medications, such as those that were available in Yugoslavia through the Eastern Europe, Soviet Union, were also administered to me. And they were administered to me already since through the childhood, already through the grammar school. This is yet another issue pertains to Robert Golob, Milan Kučan, Borut Pahor, local police here in the so-called Novo Mesto, the so-called police. That's what you call the police, basically. See nothing, hear nothing, and if you're going to come to the police station, what we can get you is an ambulance vehicle so they can take you back to the psychiatric hospital, Ljubljana Polje. This is exactly what took place on November or October of 2024. United Nations, they have their representatives here participating in these background talks. So, 1996, you secured agreement with Western Europe, with United States of America to participate with this new psychiatric medications, testing them directly on me. 1996. And before that, as I stated, they were using occasionally, whatever they were doing with me, already the psychiatric pills from Yugoslavia. In fact, when the Yugoslavia had fallen apart in 1991, they had like a little friction, a little problem when it comes to the psychiatric pills, because it felt like all of a sudden that they could not continue to implement them. It was like something disturbed them for about maybe 2 years. But before that, the Yugoslav psychiatric pills were administered to me. Beginning the grammar school, they would give me these psychiatric pills. They would feed me on those psychiatric pills. That's pretty disgusting, I think. Now it's 2026. I was born on December 9th, 1971, and this basically is the progress. This is how much we have made it so far in this so-called free world. Here is the blog that you can 15,000 pages while you're busy reading about the Epstein. I am busy watching this thing here. That's my 15,000 pages that is not allowed to be on the internet. That your American democracy, your Western European Union democracy makes sure would not be accessible to the people. Basically, that's the degree, the level of your American European democracy. Basically portraying Russia, Serbia as a new hope for the part of the Europe that separated itself from the Soviet Union and from Yugoslavia. You are basically doing, from what I see, absolutely everything you can to convince, to give the grounds to this so-called leftists, remaining Russian KGB, Serbian KGB, executives, oppositions, and leaders to make their return back. Demonstrated them basically when it comes to democracy. In this case, literally through the Russian Jew whom you imported, and a deputy of Vladimir Putin, from the Russia to United States of America, demonstrating the world. Well, he was meeting with the Slovenian police here inside of our house. Your American willingness to assist whatever government with whatever the fuck they need, so that you would have absolutely, as it appears to be, no problems with whomever you are meeting, with whomever you are. You don't give a fuck about democracy, for one thing. That's what I'm going to say to you. Thanks for watching this video. This is a stark reminder that applies to this thing. I am going to play with the Dr. Joseph a little bit. This man, Dr. Joseph, I was even talking to him about something else. I started to recall more about Dr. Joseph, and I wanted to know whether he would come forward and tell that he was involved in this. Tell there was nothing wrong with me. tell that he was meeting me during MK Ultra inside of our house, tell about observing a misuse of the psychiatry for the political purposes. This was the man, in fact, who was meeting me also here in this house, in the city of the Novo Mesto in Slovenia. What they do with these people is they give them a clearance. This is a clearance that allows you, whoever you are, it's a government clearance to travel completely to the certain destination unrestricted at the government expense. Basically, you board the plane, you get special clearance, basically, that entitles you, even as an ordinary citizen, whoever the hell you are, even as a felon, to travel to the certain destination as a citizen like a ghost, I suppose, or what most likely was the case, under completely different ID, state ID, different name, different document, that if I would go and check who traveled on a such and such date, he would most likely not even give any kind of information about, or, which happened also a lot, travel to Austria or to the Germany or to Italy, and then basically with a car commute yourself here to the city of the Novo Mesto, I should say even Ljubljana or Zagreb in Croatia, and then commute yourself to this house during MK Ultra meetings. That was very, very often also used. If they didn't get accommodations right here in the back of our house, residence, or on the other side of the Krka River, or in an area, hotels, whatever it was, or in Ljubljana, wherever, that's basically how they would do this stuff. They would just do it like this. They had various ways of doing this. This psychiatrist was involved in it, and when I saw that stuff, when I saw these things, I immediately recalled use of the psychiatric pills with purpose to get me killed entirely, murder me, basically, seal the deal, as Robert Golob claimed. He was making a list. They were making a list of those deadliest pills. Once they would manage to throw me into the psychiatric hospital Ljubljana Polje, which they did in 2012. So